Namo Loe Savariyandam, Namo Loe Savariyandam, Namo Loe Savariyam, Namo Loe Savujayam, Namo Loe Savariyavati Savanam, Omkara Mindu Sanyukta Nityam Jayanti Yogina, Kamadam Okshadam Se Omkara Namo, Manganam Bhagavanayo, Manganam Uttamam, Manganam Kuntandari Ujendra Mosu Manganam Namasanam Swanam Bhutya Tata Siti Savai Tavai Tavai
Om Namo Loe Sarvatrikavarti Ariyantanam. Om Namo Loe Sarvatrikavarti Siddhanam. Om Namo Loe Sarvatrikavarti Aryanam. Om Namo Loe Sarvatrikavarti Vajjanam. Om Namo Loe Sarvatrikavarti Savanam. Omkaram Bindu Sanyuktam Nityam Dhyayanti Yoginam Kamadam Mokshadam Chaiva Omkaraya Namo Namah. Namah Samai Saraya Svanubhutya Chakasate Chitsabhavaya Bhavaya Sarva Bhavantarachide Ajnanatimirandhanam Jnana Anjana Salakaya Chaksuramilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Guruve Namah Tirthankaro Jagatana Jayavanta Varto Omkaranada Jinano Jayavanta Varto Jinana Samo Sarana Jayavanta Varto Netirthachara Jagama Jayavanta Varto Namo Tirthanayakane Namo Omkaranadane Omkara Sangaryotene Namo Te Sri Kunda Kundane Aho Upakara Jinavarano Kundano Dvani Divyano Jina Kunda Dvaniyatya Aho Te Guru Kanano Aho Te Bhagavati Matano Dhruva Achalane Anupama Gati Pamel Sarve Sridhane Vandi Kaho Sutta Kevali Bhasita Asamaya Prabhrata Are Om Eka Suddha Sada Arupi Jnana Darshanamaya Khare Kai Anyate Maru Jari Paramanu Matra Nathiyar Jam Netra Temaj Jnana Natikarak Nathi Vedak Are Jane Jakar Moday Nirajara Bandate Maj Mokshane Om Namah Siddhebhyo Om Namah Siddhebhyo Om Sri Suddhatmane Namaha. Jai Jirendra. Today is January 25, 2017, Wednesday, and we are continuing our discussion on Samesar. Okay, so we are on 11th stanza, and we are the 11th stanza, as we said, is a heart of the Samesar, and that gives clear-cut idea which direction Acharya Kunkun Swami wants us to go to. And that idea got exemplified by Acharya Amritchandra Acharya Dev and further expanded by Gurudev Srikantji Swami. And that's why today we know a lot more about that stanza, what they are trying to say. Without delay, I'll just go to the slides and we'll just see what we learned from before and what we are supposed to continue. So last week we just saw it, that this is the soul as a substance. Remember, when we talk anything, we have to make sure, is it from substance perspective, attribute perspective, or modal perspective? So now this picture shows the soul from the substance perspective. That soul as a substance has infinite attributes within, and we are concentrating only on the knowledge attribute because that's an extraordinary attribute that soul has it. All other attributes, they are limiting themselves to the soul substance only, knowledge attribute is only the one which is attributed to the soul, as well as it does the function of knowing the alien objects of the universe. That's why it's an extraordinary attribute, and that's why in Samayasa, most of the time it just says soul is knowledge, knowledge is soul. So knowledge attribute is used as a substitute for soul substance almost all throughout 415 stanza of the Samayasa. In fact, there is so many things said about the soul and knowledge. Knowledge is soul and soul is knowledge, that after 415 stanza, Amrit Chandra Acharya Dev, who was 1,000 years before, 2,000 years back, Kunkun Acharya Dev wrote down Samayasa stanza, and 1,000 years after Kunkun Swami, Amrit Chandra Acharya Dev wrote down the critics on the stanzas. So after 415 stanza critics that Amrit Chandra Acharya Dev wrote down, he said, you know, we kept on saying soul is knowledge and knowledge is soul. So people will get confused. People will say there is no other attribute except knowledge in the soul. So that's why he has to write an appendix at the end of 415 stanza of Samayasa. And in that one, he said, guys, remember, it's not only knowledge attribute, but there are infinite other attributes are there. And for that thing, at least, he shows 47 powers, 47 attributes. And that's called Surtali Shakti, 47 Shakti of the soul. Of course, soul has an infinite attributes and powers are there. Power, you can just say power or attribute, they are the same word. So infinite powers are there, but primarily is a knowledge, and also there are at least 47 other ones that Amrit Chandra Acharya Dev found it out. And in fact, Gurudev Sri Kanji Swami also added few more through his own deep thinking. Okay, so here we are. Soul as a substance has a knowledge attribute, and this knowledge attribute has a knowledge mode, because no substance can exist without attribute. No substance and attribute exists without modes. So modes, attribute, and substance are three integral part of a given substance. Here we are talking soul. So soul, substance, knowledge attribute, knowledge mode. If we take matter as a substance, then there is a touch, taste, smell, etc. attributes are there, and they have their own modifications are there, their own modes are there. So here, knowledge attribute, knowledge mode. That knowledge mode, as we have said before, acts like a mirror. Mirror means it reflects the objects coming in front. So here, inclination of attachment means rag is known as the object of knowledge. This is very critical thinking stays in this red box. Inclination of attachment, in fact, I am the generator of inclination of attachment. I create inclination of attachment in my mode, but inclination of attachment only occurs, only occurs when me as a mode looks at the alien objects, means fruition of the karma. Inclination of attachment, I'm the generator of inclination of attachment, but that gets generated, and at that time, me as a soul is directing my attention to the alien objects. So alien object is an instrumental cause. Alien object means over here the fruition of karma is an instrumental cause. and my increase of attachment, my rag and dvesh, that becomes principal cause. So I am the generator of my rag dvesh. Simply, fruition of karma is standing as an instrumental cause. So this instrumental cause is an object of knowledge. Remember, this phone is an object of my knowledge. This pencil is an object of my knowledge. This box is an object of my knowledge. Similarly, inclination of attachment, even though it is produced within me, but it is object of knowledge. Why? Why something occurring within me that we are telling their object, alien object? Because even though rag occurs within me, but it occurred because of fruition of karma that I made my attention to. So if there is no fruition of karma, if there is no rag, then actually there is no fruition of karma. For example, Siddha Bhagwan has no rag. He has a pure and pure and pure modification coming all the time. Pure paryay coming, Suddha paryay coming all the time. So he does not have, there is fruition of any karma. He has directed attention to the eternal soul substance. So increase of attachment only occurs when I direct my attention to the alien objects of the universe. So because it is associated with the alien object of the universe, so rag is also called object of knowledge. So rag is an object of knowledge, and now this mirror, my knowledge mode is a mirror. So what's going to do is going to have the illumination of the influence of attachment within my knowledge mode, within this mirror. Okay, now at the same time, the shape of the knowledge mode occurring by itself, this increase of attachment illuminating in the mirror is occurring because of mirror's own property. For example, this is a box. Can I have anything reflected on the box? No, because box does not have capacity to reflect anything. But instead, if there's a mirror, the mirror has a capacity, intrinsic capacity to illuminate an object. So over here, Acharya Kunkun Dev says, any illumination occurring in the knowledge mode occurs because of knowledge mode's own capacity to illuminate. So over here, initially we are just saying rag is an object of knowledge, and that's why it gets illuminated here. But Acharya Bhagavan says, no, check your thinking, change your thinking. What's the changing of thinking? That I have a capacity in my mode to illuminate, and so I illuminated rag within my own mode. At that time, rag is staying outside as an object of knowledge in the form of its instrumental cause. So our thought process needs to be changed. Because of rag, it's getting illuminated. That is our conventional wisdom. But here Acharya Bhagavan says, rag got illuminated here because of her mirror's own capacity. And at that time, over here, actual rag is standing as instrumental cause. This rag, its presence is important, but did not do anything for this illumination into the knowledge mode. So here we just said illumination occurred because of my knowledge mode's own capacity. Now going further, this illumination of the rag occurring it could be of two types, coarser form of rag and finer form of rag. Means this knowledge mode is illuminating, means knowing the rag, but it knows the rag in two forms. It has, because knowledge mode is not completely publicized, knowledge mode is not completely pure, and that's why it illuminates only coarser form of rag, and finer form of the rag is this knowledge mode is not able to perceive, even though it gets reflected here. My knowledge right now is limited to this room. I can see the bedroom over here. I can see window. I can see the closet. I can see cabinet. I can see light. But my knowledge is limited for this room only. What is happening behind the wall? I don't know. What's happening outside the door? I don't know, because my knowledge mode does not have capacity to pick up those things, because my knowledge mode is still not completely bloomed, completely blossomed out. So my knowledge mode is partially blooming, and that's why part of the rag is getting known, coarser form of rag, and finer form of the rag is not seen. I will take one quick example. Anger. What does anger mean to me and you and all? Anger means that I'm angry with something. I'm angry with something. But Acharya Bhagwan says, real nature of anger means my own true nature is to stay within my innate form. True nature is to stay within my innate state. Instead of staying in my innate state, I go out and I look towards the alien objects of the universe. Well, here is a phone, here is a pen, here is a box, and all kind of things I see, because I directed my attention to the alien objects of the universe. My original nature is to stay within my eternal soul substance. Instead of that, I'm now directing my attention to the alien objects of the universe. That means I have done intense anger to myself. We never thought that way, right? More I know, better it is. Well, I went to China, I went to South America, I went to India, I went to every corner of the India, I went to Europe, I went to every state of the, so I went to all alien objects of the universe. I end up knowing. But at that time, my true nature was to stay within my own nature, and instead of staying on my own nature, I directed my attention to the outside objects of the world, and that is called anger. Did we ever realize that that's called anger to my soul? No. In fact, more things I know, I thought that it was better. But they say, no, that's called anger. So that's called finer form of anger, for example, which I never realized those things. So coarser form of the anger, I'm angry right now to somebody. I dislike these things. So those are the coarser form of anger. Finer form of the anger, I'm not able to perceive that one. So my knowledge mode is perceiving coarser form of anger, finer form is not able to perceive completely. Then also what happens? We just say that, remember, I had a rag getting illuminated within me is a primary process occurred. Rag illuminating in my mode is a primary process. And at that time, outside there is a rag is present as instrumental cause. So here we have turned the table that this is the primary process and this guy is simply present, rag is simply present as an instrumental cause. So that's called alien illumination property of the knowledge mode. Knowledge mode has two properties, alien illumination and self-illumination. So now this is the alien illumination property of the knowledge mode, that it is illuminating rag within its own mode while rag is present as instrumental cause. Now, as we have alien illumination, we also have self-illumination. What's a self-illumination? Because the eternal soul substance is there, and I also have the illumination of my eternal soul substance occur in my mode. That's a self-illumination. This is the standard way we have to start thinking. Now, here we are going to give acronym, 4 acronyms. UAVN is a उपचरित असद्भुत व्यवहार नहीं. AAVN अनुपचरित असद्भुत व्यवहार नहीं. USVN उपचरित सद्भुत व्यवहार नहीं, and ASVN anupcharit sadbut vyavahar nahi. Now we are going to put all the 4 vyavahar nahi in this picture, and this coarser form of the rag and finer form of the rag, they are called upcharit and anupcharit asadbut vyavahar nahi. Because rag is present, that's why I know them. Because rag is present, that's why I know. That's why it becomes upcharit and anupcharit asadbut vyavahar nahi. But when knowledge mode directly illuminates the rag, and it does primary process is illumination, and rag is considered as an instrumental cause, so it's called upcharit sadbut vyavahar nahi. And knowledge is the soul. Knowledge is a soul. This is knowledge mode. Knowledge mode is a soul. They are integrated, inherent property, inseparable relationship. And that is called anupcharit sadbut vyavahar nahi. So this is 11th stanza. Quickly. First, I just said rag is present, that's why I know it. Phone is present, that's why I know the phone. That is called upcharit asadbut and anupcharit asadbut vyavahar nahi. A coarser form of rag and finer form of rag. But in actuality, I'm doing the property of illumination myself. And when I'm doing that property of illumination myself, then rag is simply present as an instrumental cause. Rag did not do anything to me. I created illumination with my own doing. So that becomes upcharit sadbut vyavahar nahi. Because again, at this time, I'm drawing my attention to outside. But when I just say Gnan te atma, knowledge is the soul. When I do that, that means it's called asadbut, anupcharit sadbut vyavahar nahi. So this is the way. In this 11th stanza, Acharya Dev stays into the soul's boundary and then creates 4 types of vyavahar nahi. He is very, very, very particular. He doesn't go out of the boundary of the soul. All these 4 things over here, rag is getting illuminated, or I illuminate and rag is a instrumental cause, or I'm doing self-illumination. Everything happens in the boundary of the soul only. So this thing happens. All these 4 things are happening in this boundary of the soul only. We are not going out of the boundary of the soul. And that's why everything in Samaysar, when we talk, soul is a center. Everything has to be soul-centric view. And so that's what it is. So now we are going to go and just say, this is kind of same pictorial, this is bullet form we are talking now, that rag can be in the form of coarser and finer form. Then it's called, coarser form of a rag is called buddhi purvakna rag, and finer form of the rag is called abuddhi purvakna rag. So there are two different. Buddhi means I witnessed that one. Abuddhi means I'm not able to perceive even though it's present. Then third thing, these are the first two. First two nai came. The first two partial point of view came. That coarser form of rag and finer form of the rag, that I'm perceiving because rag is present. But then Acharya Bhagavan says, no. Rag can be perceived in the knowledge mode because a knowledge has a self and alien illumination capacity. So when rag is perceived within me, at that time rag becomes instrumental cause only. So primary action occurs within my mode and rag becomes instrumental cause. And last one, it says, knowledge knows by self. That means knowledge and soul are inseparable. Jnantyatma, that's a fourth nai. So this is first two nai. This is the third. This is the third nai. This is the fourth one that we just saw in the previous picture. Now, Vyavaharanic convention point of view, stanza 11. What happens? It's following things happens there. Let's try to see here. Sorry. Nai and Upcharit Asadbhut Vyavaharanic. Conventional point of view with figurative point of view expressing unity of distinct entity. That's the lowest form of Nai. What happens here? Coarser form of the rag is getting known in the knowledge mode, means buddhi purvakna rag. Then comes Anupcharit Asadbhut Vyavaharanic, means conventional point of view with literal point of view expressing unity of different substances. That means finer form of increase of attachment. There is a typo over here. It should be IOA. Increase of attachment. Final form of rag is getting known in the knowledge mode of buddhi purvakna rag. So in this, both these bullets over here, what is happening? Because coarser form of rag is present, I am aware of it. Because finer form of rag is present, I'm not able to pick it up. So we are giving importance to the actual rag, coarse or finer form of rag.
Kiritanka,
Yeah.
it says that what you wrote is the IOA is getting known. So I thought it would say the finer form is not getting known.
No. Final form is getting illuminated, but knowledge mode does not have capacity to pick it up.
The knowledge mode is, knowledge attribute is not picking it up, but it's getting illuminated.
Yeah, illumination is there, but it's not able to pick it up.
Got you. Thank you.
Okay. Now the third bullet comes, Upcharit Sadbhut Vyavaharanic, means convention point of view showing metaphorical expression of synthetic, pure, real, true point of view expressing difference between virtue and virtuous one. Over here what it says, knowledge mode. Now we are coming to first two bullets are the rag, coarser form of rag or finer form of rag. That's the first two bullets. Third bullet says, wait a second, I am the knower. I am the alien knower because I have an alien knowing capacity. So because of my alien knowing capacity, I create the illumination of rag within my mode, and at that time rag is simply present as an instrumental cause. For example, quiet night is there, moonless night is there, and there are millions of stars are in the sky, and there's a pond which is a quiet pond, and in the quiet pond I am seeing all the reflection of those millions of stars in the sky. Now, because stars are there, that's why there is a illumination. There's one way of thinking from the object's perspective. But when we come to the water's perspective, water has, it is quiet water has a capacity to reflect anything. It's like a mirror, just like Mirror Lake. It's a mirror. And so mirror, the lake water has its own capacity to create the image while those stars act as instrumental cause. So here, rag is instrumental cause, and my mode created rag within my mode. That's a Upcharit Sadbudh Vyavarnai. And last one, Anupcharit Sadbudh Vyavarnai means conventional point of view with literal point of view, expressing difference between pure virtue and virtuous one in an indivisible identical soul substance. What happens here? Here, sorry. Okay. Here what happens? Knowledge is the soul. My mode, which is knowledge mode, has a reflection of the eternal soul substance. Reflection, illumination of the soul substance occurring in my knowledge mode. So I'm just saying my knowledge mode is a soul. So my knowledge mode and soul substance are integrated, are indivisible, are intrinsic nature, and that's why it's called Anupcharit Sadbudh Vyavarnai. So these are the four things that we are talking. Now we are going to go and see each and everything individually, that how those things are working out. So now we are going to talk Upcharit Asadbudh Vyavarnai means convention point of view with figurative point of view expressing unity of distinct entity. What happens here? Here, name, description, and what happens. First thing, Upcharit. Upcharit means symbolic, metaphorical, or figurative. Because remember, we are just going same thing from the first slide to the second to the third. We are trying to imbibe all this thing so that it remains in our mind and does not get out. So Upcharit means symbolic, metaphorical, or figurative. What happens? It shows cause and effect between two different substances or their attributes or more. This phone is mine. This phone is mine. I put mindness on this phone. I put ownership on this phone. So what happens? This is the phone is a cause and my ownership is an effect. So I'm showing relationship between two different substances. So here, what happens? Inclusive of attachment is present. Inclusive of attachment is present. Inclusive and is getting known by knowledge more. I have the rag is over here. Because of rag, I'm able to know it. So that is called upchar. That's called upchar. It's called figurative or metaphorical. Even though it is present in the soul and cannot be removed. Remember, in general talk, when we initially started, before the when we started conventional point of view and absolute point of view, we said this phone belongs to outside object and it has a separate space point than my soul, and when I put ownership on it, that means it is called upchar or figurative. Here, even though rag is occurring within me, but it can be removed, and that's why it can be removed. That's why it's not mine. That's why when I say I'm able to know the rag, means it is called upcharit. It is, sorry. Yeah, this is called upcharit. Now, asadbut. Why do we call asadbut? Because it's impure. It's synthetic. It's called impure synthetic. What is impure synthetic means? Means expressing unity with two distinct entities. Knowledge mode is one entity, and rag is another entity. So we are expressing unity with these two different entities, knowledge and the rag. We are just saying they are same. So they become one, and that's why it is called asadbut, means impure synthetic. And what happens at the time? Perceivable inclination of attachment. Perceivable inclination of attachment means buddhi purvak no rag. The rag that I can perceive myself. When we say rag, means remember we recall four things: anger, deceit, ego, and greed. All four things will come when we just say rag. So perceivable rag means buddhi purvak no rag is not present in the soul substance, but is considered as one, and therefore it's called asadbut. Means I have a rag. If I say that, that means it's asadbut. Third thing, vyavahar. Why do we say vyavahar nahi? Because it shows relationship between two entirely different entities. Rag is over here and the knowledge mode is over here. They both are entirely separate entities. They're separate mode, and I show the relationship between them. So it's called vyavahar nahi. Over here, what happens? One is seeing two different entities, soul and inclination of attachment. Here we can say soul or we can say knowledge mode. They both are same. So soul and rag or vyavahar, the knowledge mode and rag, they are considered as one. Nai. Fourth point is nai. So we have to just each nai we have to go through four different points. Upcharit, asadbut, vyavahar, nai. Why nai means what? Nai means part of the scriptural knowledge of right knowledge. Remember, nai, definition of nai means part of the scriptural knowledge of right knowledge. What is scriptural knowledge? Knowledge by itself can be divided into 5 different parts. Perceptive knowledge, matignan. Scriptural knowledge, srutagnan. Clairvoyance knowledge, avdhignan. Telepathy knowledge, manaparyagnan. And omniscience knowledge means kevalgnan. Once again, matignan, srutagnan, avdhignan, manaparyagnan, kevalgnan. And out of these 5 knowledges, srutagnan, that's a place where nai get generated. There is no nai in the avdhi, manaparya, keval or matignan. Only srutagnan generates the nai. And that's why when we say nai, means part of the scriptural knowledge, part of the srutagnan. With sthul upyog, gross form of attentive consciousness, one is able to perceive the reality from one angle, that is called nai. Listen, I am Kirit. I am somebody's father, somebody's son, somebody's uncle, somebody's nephew, somebody's husband, somebody's friend. All those different perspectives that I am carrying with me. That is called Praman, that's called organ of knowledge, complete comprehensive knowledge, out of which I take only one angle right now. Who am I? I am involved in the Swadhyay at this point. Now, when I'm just saying that I'm involved in the Swadhyay at this point, means at the time I'm also somebody's father, somebody's son, somebody's nephew, somebody's uncle, somebody's husband, and all those things are there. But they are made secondary because right now I'm making primarily I am in the Swadhyay. When I was working, when I go to the work, when I'm in the hospital, seeing the patient, who am I? I'm a doctor. Means the doctoring point is made primary and everything else is made secondary, and that is called Nai. Everything made secondary, one thing to make primary, that's called Nai. Suppose I'm sitting with my family, I'm sitting with my grandchildren right now, then I'm the grandpa right now. My grandpa mode is made primary, and all other modes, even though they are present, they are made secondary. Same way here, this Nai means with a gross form of attentive consciousness, one is able to perceive reality from one angle. Only omniscience knowledge knows the reality from every perspective. How many things you may know about me? Few things. How many things my wife may know about me? My son may know about me. They may not know all my past. They may not know all my future. They may know only partially who I am, like that. Like, for example, my boss was in New York and he says, Gosalia, one time my son met one of my colleague from my medical school. His name was Anthony Cachesi, my boss's name. And Cachesi told me that, Gosalia, when my son met my friend from the medical school, so my medical school friend gave the reference that, oh, that Tony who used to smoke. And my son got really, really upset. I have never seen my father smoking, because son did not know all the detail about father's life. So those are the things that when we know only one point and make everything else secondary, that perfect knowledge occurs only in omniscience knowledge. But in Sutagnan, whatever I know it, out of which I make certain thing primary and other things secondary. That's called Nai. So every Nai we are going to divide into 4 parts. Upcharit or Anupcharit, Asadbhut or Sadbhut, Vyavar Nai, and Vyavar and Nai. So 4 ways we are going to look at it. So now we are trying to see next one. Anupcharit, Asadbhut, Vyavar Nai. Because we have gone through this thing, what we are doing is now putting everything in nutshell. So now we know that, okay, where is this stanza leading me to? So Anupcharit, Asadbhut, Vyava, Nai, we need to see it by 4 different ways. So let's try to see what it tries to tell us. Convention point of view, with literal point of view, expressing unity of different substances. Here, name, description, and what it is. Which one we are talking? We are talking Anupcharit now, mean literal point of view, or non-fictitious point of view, or real point of view. Anupcharit means literal point of view. What happens? To have close relationship with 2 elements is expressed as literal point of view. Close relation with 2 elements, 2 different elements, extremely close relationship. So, with perceivable inclination of attachment getting known, there is also non-perceivable subtle form of inclination of attachment present, which is called Anupcharit, or literal or non-fictitious real point of view. the inclination of attachment is subtle and not perceived by knowledge mode due to my sthul upyog, due to my gross attentive consciousness. My attentive consciousness is so gross that I'm not able to pick it a finer form of the rag, and that is called anupcharit. Right? Then comes asadbut. Asadbut means impure synthetic. What happened in expressing unity of two different entities, the finer form of rag and also knowledge mode. They are expressing unity. That's why it's called asadbut, because they're two separate things. Rag is separate, knowledge mode is separate. So inclination of attachment, however non-perceivable, is a finer form of buddhi-purvak no rag. And with that rag, then soul is considered as one entity, and that's why it's called asadbut. They're two separate entities. Final form of rag, even though I'm not able to perceive, and soul. They're two separate entities, and I make them as one. That's why it's called asadbut. Vyavarne. Why do we call Vyavarne? Because showing relationship between two different entities. And there are two different entities here, soul and non-perceivable rag. So those are, that's called Vyavarne. We are taking rag and soul as one. So it's called Vyavarne. And why it's called Nai? As we said before, it's part of the scriptural knowledge, and with a gross form of attentive consciousness, one is able to perceive the reality from one angle only. That's called Nai. So that's the second point we just went through. Now, actually this is kind of revision going on, and whatever we know so far, it solidifies our knowledge base, really slightly, nicely compacted, that any building coming up on this land will come out to be a great building. Any scripture, any spiritual building that we are going to build it up, that's going to have a stronger foundation. Upcharit Sadbut Vyavarna is the third part. Conventional point of view, showing metaphorical expression of synthetic, pure, real, true point of view, expressing difference between virtue and virtuous one. What happens here? Name, description, what happens? Upcharit, symbolic, metaphorical, figurative, what happens in this one? It shows cause and effect with two different substances or their attributes or their modes. Here what happens? Knowledge mode with its own alien illumination property ends up knowing rag. Rag is an object. And that object as an instrumental cause, and knowledge mode does the primary job of knowing. Action occurs in the knowledge mode, and in that action it ends up knowing and creating illumination of the rag within, and at the time outside rag is sitting as an instrumental cause. So that's called upcharit. Sadbut means synthetic, pure. So what happens in synthetic? It shows difference between virtue and virtuous one. Virtue means gun, means attribute, and virtuous means soul substance. To make division in one undivided thing. For example, in a substance, one makes division from modal perspective as well as from attribute perspective. So, soul substance, attribute, and modes, they are in the indivisible pattern, inseparable form, inherent relationship, and now I'm creating artificial division in those things. So even though the indivisibility is present, soul substance is present, attributes are present and modes are present, but they are in one unit. And for my understanding purpose, I'm making artificial division. So because they are existing to start with, that means real, but I'm creating divisions which are artificial. That's why it's called sadbudh or synthetic or pure. Over here, knowledge mode has a capacity to know self and alien object, Swapar Prakashak. This mode belongs to the soul, but ends up knowing alien object. The soul and soul's knowledge mode made its own effort to know alien object in the form of rag. So difference between soul and knowledge mode we are talking over here. Who is the primary action occurs in the knowledge mode? Knowledge is capacity for self and alien objects. Means knowledge mode is doing function. So here I'm saying difference between soul and knowledge mode, and that's why it's called sadbudh. Vyavahar, same as before, showing relation between two different entities. What are two different entities here? Knowledge mode and soul substance. Two different entities, I'm showing relationship. So it's Vyavahar and showing difference between soul substance and its mode. That's why it's called Vyavahar. Now, same as before, that partial point of view, part of the scriptural knowledge, right knowledge, with Sukshma Upyog. Now here my attentive consciousness is finer form, and I'm able to perceive the reality from one angle, and that's why it's called Nai. So here we finished the third one. Last fourth one now we are talking. Anupcharit, Sadbudh, Vyavarnay means convention point of view with literal point of view, expressing difference between pure virtue and virtuous one in an indivisible, identical soul substance. So here, what we are doing, same thing, name, description, what happens? Anupcharit. Anupcharit means literal point of view, having inherent, inseparable, identical relationship, means tadatmya sambandh, to show as two elements, is known as literal point of view. So that's called literal point of view. And what happens here? Knowledge and soul having inherent, indivisible, identical relationship, and knowledge cannot be separated from the soul substance, and still because they are one entity, knowledge mode and soul substance one entity, but we made artificial division. That's why it's called Anupcharit here. Sadbudh. Why Sadbudh? Because it does exist there. It does exist. Means difference between pure virtue, means pure knowledge mode, and virtuous means soul substance. So difference is, and to make division in one undivided thing, that's why it's called Sadbudh. Substance to make division from modal as well as from attribute perspective. So knowledge mode and soul substance belong to the same entity. For understanding purpose, artificial divisions are created. Remember, Sadbudh means pure, perfect, indivisible, undivided. But I don't understand that part. That's why Acharya Bhagavan makes division, artificial division for me, and tells me. For example, I went to a nice party. When I came back, and you said, how was the party? I just said, fantastic, great, amazing. Never attended something like this before. That's an indivisible nature of the whole thing I described. But when I say amazing, great, never seen before, what difference does it make to you? You don't understand anything. So you said, Yeah, but tell me why you say why you say so fantastic, why you say so unbelievable. What was there which made you believe that it is unbelievable and fantastic and great and everything? Now I make division in that whole undivided experience of the party I had it. Well, there was a fantastic music was there, live orchestra was there, people were dancing, food was great, atmosphere was amazing, there were friendly people. So all those division I made while I was enjoying the party, I didn't make a divisions of all those things. I didn't say that there's a orchestra over here, there's a food over here, there are friends over here, there are people dancing over here. No, it was a whole thing I was experiencing. But now I'm talking to you, I'm making division. Acharya Bhagwan experiences soul and he says, oh, I had an amazing feeling. I had a super sensuous bliss. And I just say, but Guruji, tell me what does it mean? Then he explains to me what he felt. He makes division on the undivided experience. So that's why it's called Sadbudh over here. Then Vyavarnai, same as before, showing relationship between two different entities belong to the same substance and showing difference between soul substance and its knowledge mode. And Nai, partial point of view, partial part of the scriptural knowledge, and with the reflective thought, one is able to perceive the reality from one angle, and that is called Nai. So here we have gone through pictorial way, then we divided them into different way, then we are putting in the table form. Now it should be clear in our mind what is Vyavarnai according to 11th stanza in Samasa. So here we are at this point. I think we are going to stop at this point here, and then the new chapter will start. We'll just, if you don't mind, I'll take a couple of minutes. All these four partial point of views are considered to be non-entity, asat, they are present in a mode. Now really, see Acharya Bhagwan is very, very, very strict. Knowledge mode, my own knowledge mode. I perceive the rag, I perceive my eternal soul substance. Everything happens within me, but it is happening in the modes. Because it's happening in the mode, Acharya Bhagwan says, I consider as a non-entity. Means it has never been there. For me, it is not there. For example, I'm born with silver spoon in my mouth. I have never seen any poverty in my life. So for me, in my life, poverty is non-existent. Because I never felt that one. It is absent in my life. Similarly, but not similarly here, Acharya Bhagwan says, all 4 points of view, they are occurring in mode, and mode are transient in nature, and I'm eternal soul substance. Because I'm eternal, so these things are, even though they are present within me, I'm considering them as non-entity. Are things are present within me and they are non-entity? Yes, if you believe 11th stanza. This phone is mine, but it is not mine. How come? Because it's not mine. It can be, it's a matter particle. So even though all the 4 nai, they are occurring in modal perspective occurring within me, but they are modes, and modes are transient, and transient in comparison to eternal soul substance are transient only. That means they are considered so secondary, and just says it is non-entity. Non-entity means not present. No, that's not true. Non-entity means they're present but made so secondary as if they are not present. Non-entity, even though they are present, they are simply made secondary. Therefore, one should not take refuge in them. See, the point Acharya Bhagwan is driving at it, they say, don't take refuge in your mode. because modes are transient. Your eternal refuging place is in the eternal soul substance only. And so that one, they are non-entity when compared to the eternal soul substance. This modal point is non-entity, even though they are present, but they are made secondary. So this is the very important point to understand and keep in mind. It will just say they are wrong, they are of a non-entity, they are not present. Means they are present, but they are secondary, and because they are modal in terms of eternal soul substance, they are made secondary. So this is the way we have to understand. So this we have covered a lots and lots and lots of material today. But of course, it's just as a culmination of all this thing we are doing for about God knows how many weeks we are doing all these things. And that comes to the fruition at this point, that we are able to understand what is there in Acharya Bhagwan's mind, what is hidden in his heart, what he tries to tell us, why he's trying to tell all these things to us. And that makes sense now. So that's why we have taken a long time to come to this point. Any questions so far? I put you to sleep probably.
No, I'm good.
Good.
I'm good.
All right, okay. All right, so if there's no question, then maybe we can just do the closing, right? जावाणी के ज्ञान से सूझे लो कालो, सोवाणी मस्तक नमो सदा देत हूँ। 9th आश्रम का मंत्र। Mitchandukram, thank you. Okay. You know, I have one announcement that next Tuesday I'm going to go to India for that. Hastinapur has a very big function occurring. Hastinapur is about an hour and a half from New Delhi by car, and there is a great function is occurring, and so I'm going to be there. So I'm in transit Tuesday afternoon. I'm going, and Wednesday night I'm reaching there. So what we'll do is next week, Tuesday and Wednesday, we will not be able to make class, but from there, next week onwards, I will take the class from there. So just keep in mind, and I'll send the information again, okay, on the email.
Are you going to be there for a while then?
No, 3 weeks only this time, and by 21st February, I'm coming back, and so we will continue our classes thereafter, you know. Okay, but while I'm in India, we'll continue our class only because of my transit, because I'll be going Tuesday afternoon, reaching on Wednesday night. So those 2 nights we won't be able to make, you know.
Okay, and what is these lectures you're getting?
No, it is.
I'm intrigued now. What is that?
There is a Hastinapur. They are doing Silanyas, means a groundbreaking for one huge temple complex. They are making it, and it is just super thing they are going to make. Let me just show you quickly one thing. I have to share the screen. I have to bring different things here. 1 second, hold it. Stop share. I'll show you something. Okay. If you see this man's thumb in the back, these things, this is called a man's thumb, and this one is 41 feet tall in Phoenix, right? What they are making is 108 feet tall pure marble structure.
Wow.
not only pure marble structure of 108 feet tall, which is the biggest in this world, but they are going to have elevator inside, so you can go upstairs also. So you can imagine how huge this Manstam will be.
Oh, it'll be very wide.
That's the beginning of the temple. And when you look at the temple and everything, it's a huge thing that they're making beautiful thing. And within a couple of years time, there'll be also Pratishtha and everything. So one of my dear friend is working on it, and so they asked me to come and everything. So I'll be going there, you know. So it's
Okay.
going to be. I'll send some pictures from there and everything. It will be
Right.
great.
Now, what town is this again?
It's called Hastinapur.
Hastinapur.
Hastinapur. You have heard Samet Shikhar, right?
Right. Right.
Samet Shikhar is the most pious things for the Jains. All the Jains, it's the most